I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Kemet, Gates of Thonis, the newest expansion to Kemet Blood and Sands. This is a prototype, all rules and components subject to change, and I'll have a link to the crowdfunding campaign down below. There's also a gameplay video you can check out on the channel, and I should note, disclaimers and all that, the gameplay was a sponsored gameplay, and while this review is not sponsored, money did change hands for the gameplay, so take any potential bias into account as I tell you my thoughts on this expansion. The Gates of Thonis is going to be an expansion that adds a few new elements to Kemet. The first element is going to be a rebalancing of the Emerald tile set over here. So you're going to have new tiles for the Emerald faction for those of you who wanted that. You're also going to have two entirely new tile sets. You're going to have the Gold and the Silver tiles, introducing new elements to the game, new sets to bring you up to 9 sets of power tiles to mix and match various power tiles to your heart's content as you play through Kemet. And the last element is going to be the Gates of Thonis itself, which is effectively a King of the Hill style gameplay, where instead of the typical Kemet, where granted you are kind of already incentivized to go head to head and destroy each other to get battle points, it instead takes Kemet and makes it into a 4-round game, as opposed to, playing till victory points, and you are specifically vying for these 3 areas in the middle, because these areas all are attractive in their own ways, giving you recurring benefits turn after turn after turn if you hold on to them, and when you acquire them, really incentivizing a rush towards the middle and a bloody battle as you continuously take each other out just to get the ongoing benefits of those 3 locations. Those are the 3 main elements being added to this expansion, the Gates of Thonis, the newest expansion for Kemet. Now, I'm not going to really go into how Kemet operates. I'll give you my general thoughts on Kemet. I've covered Kemet a lot over the years. I did a unboxing recently for the last expansion. I just did a gameplay that you may have seen on this already. But general idea of Kemet is an area control game based on powers and abilities. It's based on these tile sets over here, of which you're going to have a variable number in play depending on the player count, and those tile sets are the main driving force for the area control puzzle that you are playing out. Every turn, players are going to take 5 actions. Those actions are going to consist of moving around the board, recruiting units, upgrading their pyramids, which allows them to buy better and more tile sets, and then of course buying the tile sets themselves in order to augment their various abilities, whether their economy, whether things that happen during the night phase, whether their battle abilities, a ton of different ways that just level you up as a player through trying to find the right combination of tiles that will best enable you to win the game. Now, typical Kemet is going to have you rushing for various areas on the board, primarily to get your hands on temple points. You're going to get temporary temple points as well as permanent temple points for controlling multiple temples. So there is that rush to try to control areas of the board, both for your economy to ensure you have prayer points consistently coming in, because prayer points are the money, the currency that you're going to be spending turn over turn. But then additionally, there's going to be areas where you can sacrifice units for various effects, whether for points or for more money. There's just a general vibe to try to get out there and kill, to quote a little dungeon crawler Carl, because you get also those battle points every single time you win a battle as the attacker. Gates of Thonis changes that up by, again, you are still getting out there and killing, but you're doing so specifically around that King of the Hill aspect, as well as an entire change to the map structure, as well as the 4 rounds instead that put a clock of the game while giving you these areas to go for. This area is going to give you prayer points every single turn. This area will give you divine intervention cards every single turn. And this area is the crystal pyramid, which will allow you to buy from various tile sets, even those you don't own, which another change on this board is you are limited to only 2 pyramids, which means even at a 3-player game, you already can't get all the various tiles out there because there are 3 tile sets of a 3-player game. You can only get 2 of them, and then at higher player counts, there's even more tile sets you can't get. If you're playing a 5-player game of Rise of Thonis, there's going to be 5 sets of tiles on the board, and you can only get 2 of them unless you go invade your opponent's pyramids, or alternatively take control of the crystal pyramid, which will allow you to get a lot more flexibility in the various tiles. You can build your perfect combination of abilities. That's basically what's going on over here. So, what are my thoughts on the Gates of Thonis? What do I think about the various elements? So first of all, new power tiles. In general, I like having new power tiles for Kemet. It continuously adds to the level of variation your game will have every single time you mix and match a pairing of 4 tiles or 5 tiles or even 3 tiles in a 3-player game. You will have more and more ways you can augment. Do I want economy combined with a little bit of these new shadow tiles? Do I want to go ahead and have some sacrifice from the emerald tiles? Like, what is it you want as you mix and match the various sets of tiles? These specific tile sets, the way they kind of focus, again, everything's got a little bit of everything. Once Kemet broke out from from the pure economy, defense, and aggression, the three initial sets. From there, you have to kind of have little elements of everything. You have to have a sprinkle of offense and everything, a sprinkle of economy, a sprinkle of creatures. You need a little bit of everything in order to balance the game out. Otherwise, you might have a game that has no economy, which can make it a much more different experience for everyone, probably a little bit more grindy. But with that said, because you have a little bit of everything over here, the new tile sets over here, the gold is going to focus very heavily on the veteran tiles, which you get for losing combat, giving you a lot of ways to earn extra tiles, as well as spend them in different ways, or empowering the abilities they give you, the amount they give you back. But again, it's going to have a little bit of everything. It'll have a few creatures. It has some interesting ways to teleport around the board. Every tile set does still have that, the point as well as the extra silver action. They all have gold actions as well to go ahead and give you extra ways to utilize those gold tiles, but this one focuses a little bit on some of the economy because of the veteran tiles, with a smorgasbord of everything thrown in. The silver tile set, on the other hand, focuses on shadows. Shadows is a new element where sometimes your ability tiles go elsewhere on the board. They go onto other players' pyramids, so you can take advantage of those. They go onto other tiles, so you get discounts or get rewarded when other players buy. They just basically give you these extra tiles called shadows that move around and augment different elements of the game in a very unique way that I've never seen done with any of the tile sets until now. As far as my review of these tile sets, overall, I like them both. I will say that I think the shadow tile set has a lot more promise, but I don't think it's where I want it to be currently. I think the shadow tile set could almost benefit from being nearly completely shadows. I think that would be so cool. I think there's so many different interesting ways to utilize these tiles as you move them around, place them in other areas to benefit from them. Tiles that can go on the board acting almost as traps. Tiles that can take control of creatures temporarily. I think there's so many fun things you can do with this shadow mechanic. I think the idea of an entire set that is 100% shadow tiles could be so interesting. As it stands, there's like 4 or 5 tiles in the set that utilize this shadow mechanic, and even from those 4 or 5, I felt some of them were a little underpowered. I love the idea of them far more than the actual execution. The idea of being able to utilize an opponent's pyramid is incredibly cool, but then you have to give them the Ankh you spent, the prayer points you spent, and that suddenly takes away a lot of the benefit of them. If you're paying your opponent 4 prayer points because you're buying a level 4 power tile, suddenly it doesn't feel like it was really necessarily worth buying a level 3 tile only to funnel money to your opponents. Maybe at higher player counts you can balance it out so you're still getting the maximum benefit, but it felt a little weaker because of that element. Similarly, the tiles over here, these basic starter tiles, are going to give you discounts on tiles, but they're only utilized once per round. You get a -1 discount on 1 power tile, and the potential of 3 if someone else buys it, all while broadcasting your intent to the other players, contrasted with the initial white economy set, where you simply get a 1 discount on all the power tiles you're buying. The math doesn't seem to be mathing for me overall as far as the economy of that relative to other tiles I've seen in the Kemet ecosystem. So for me, currently, this silver tile set, I think, has so much potential for clever, interesting elements that we've never seen done with power tiles before, but as it currently stands, at least based on my experience so far, it feels a little underutilized or a little underpowered. I can't say for sure it's underutilized or underpowered. I can just say my feeling as a player was it felt less worth investing in that set relative to other sets. The gold power tile set, on the other hand, I think my biggest complaint there is it didn't have as much of a unified focus as I would like, or as I sometimes feel from other tile sets. It felt a little bit like, once again, we're getting a small dash of those veteran tiles, and then a bunch of jack of all trades, master of none, which we have seen from some other tile sets to an extent, but I don't want to see too many tile sets going that direction, so I'd say I'd like the gold tile set, but I feel it can still benefit from a little bit more of a type of mechanic that it works with relative to the other sets. So overall, I like the new tile sets. I will be utilizing them still. I think the gold tile set, I almost want to see more ways it stands out, but I would still throw it into any game because I enjoyed how it integrates with the others. And the silver tile set, I would still utilize because I still feel I have a lot more to explore, but my initial instincts are that it's not giving me the same level of abilities that I get from other tile sets. As far as the other elements of the game, or specifically the Gates of Thonis, the King of the Hill element, I like this gameplay mode a lot. My biggest complaint around it is that I don't like the limited 4 rounds. Now, to be very clear, sometimes Kemet can end in 4 rounds anyway, but for me, I really like it when games are player-determined ending as opposed to a fixed number of rounds. I feel a fixed number of rounds kind of boxes me into the math of, do I buy that tile? Will it pay for itself? I don't know. Like, I'm stuck playing this math game as far as, will I get the exact economy I need out of something in order to make use of it? And that just feels less fun. It's not that I mind that the game is only 4 rounds. Many rounds of Kemet can be, in fact, if you watch our gameplay, minor spoilers, it would have been 4 rounds anyway because of the amount of points you get by the end of the 4th round and the way it played out, but it didn't necessarily need to be that way, it just happens to be it would have been that way. I really like player-determined endgame a lot more than I like a fixed number of rounds, and so for me, that small element I think is a step back. I will say, you can easily house rule the Gates of Thonis expansion to be the King of the Hill style game it is, and just play till a normal Kemet endgame. I don't see a reason why that would break the game as far as the balance of it all. I don't know if I'll do that or not yet. I think I need more plays to feel if I'm willing to, I'm always very hesitant to add a house rule to a game. I'm very cavalier about coming up with, oh, I could do this or that, but I'm much more hesitant to actually put it into practice relative to the amount of times the designers have put into balancing what they're trying to do. That said, I may well end up doing that if I find that the 4 rounds do feel more mentally crippling than anything else. And again, I think mentally is the key word. It's not that I mind if the game is 4 rounds. It's that when I'm buying a power tile in round 3, I don't want to be doing the math of, well, will this or won't this pay off based on the exact number of rounds the game is going for. I'd almost rather buy it with the hope of, hey, I can benefit from this for 2 or 3 rounds, and then it happens then early, and I'm fine with that. But outside of that one critique, I overall very much enjoyed this new style. I really like the crippling of the amount of pyramids that you actually have access to. That really, even at lower player counts, that makes the tension of the tile market much more of a challenge than you get. If you're playing 3-player Kemet, although there is a caveat to that, but if you're playing 3-player Kemet, the biggest critique I have is that you don't have that sense of lack of other tile sets you don't have access to, and this changes that. That said, I do think this is better at higher player counts, like Kemet generally is, because of the fact that because there's 3 areas in the center to work on, I think having that 4th player or 5th player really pushes a lot more fighting or contesting over those areas, where to a certain extent you can live in, not really harmony, Kemet doesn't really let you live in harmony, but you can live with everyone's getting a little bit of everything at a 3-player game in a way that you can't at 4 or 5. So I still think it's better at higher players, but I love how it changes up the tile market, so that you still feel restricted while having to find those ways to get other tiles, either through conquering opponents' pyramids, or alternatively through this crystal tile set that's going to be powering up each round, giving you greater access to the various tiles in the game. So overall, very much enjoyed the expansion as far as what it adds, a small little nitpick around the 4 rounds, but outside of that, I thought it did a great job of, ever since the original Kemet, we really haven't had a new map, so to speak. Kemet's always been this very specific kind of map, and this is the first time we're seeing a very strong shift to that, and I appreciate what it's bringing to the table. So, as far as final thoughts and rating and all that, I love Kemet. I'm a huge fan of Kemet. I've given Kemet 5 out of 5 for a very long time. It has, over the years, shifted down to a 4.5 out of 5, and I don't think this bumps it out of there. I do think, if you watch my unboxing, I go into a rambling of how my evolution with Kemet and Blood Rage and how that's all intertwined and integrated. I still love what Kemet brings to the table. I have so much fun trying to find the perfect combination of tiles, and this only adds more tile sets to already incredibly diverse tile set while giving you a new way to play the game. So overall, rating-wise, I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. Similar to the regular Kemet, it adds new content as well as a new way to play. Both those I very much enjoy. The one main thing I would want out of this is I really... And again, I don't know, because it's very hard to say based on a few plays whether my experience mirrors the balance of the game, and I'm always very hesitant to say that. I can only speak from my experience as a player. I can only say that as a player who has played Kemet quite a bit, I felt that the silver set was the coolest new abilities that I've ever seen in Kemet for a long time. It felt like the most, sacrificial elements. The sacrifice tiles was one of the more innovative Kemet sets we've seen in a while, and it was received with mixed reaction. And I think with the silver tile set, the shadow mechanic is the coolest new system I have seen added to Kemet, but I want to see it utilized more so within the tile set, and for the abilities to feel a bit stronger than they currently do. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you found this review helpful in some way, and as always, I hope you have a good one.